it will always go.
Yep.
And I can give you statistics. Statistics indicate that the wealth of the entire world is just in about 5 to 10% of the population. If you took that wealth and distributed in the 90% of the population, between 3 to 5 years, it will have migrated back.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So the equation of sustainable wealth creation is not in the how much you receive.
Come on.
It is ability to keep and grow what you keep.
Yeah.
What happens then is that this gets to be part of you in the lifelong.
Exactly.
I find people that they are saving. You reach age 60, then the doctor tells you, you can't enjoy this. Just take Managu and stuff like that. But I mean, even God's word tells us, you shall eat. Shall in legal terms is a must, which means if you don't eat, you are also disobedient. But there's a connection between self-reward and success in life.
Yeah.
So Daniel Coleman, in his book, Emotional Intelligence, he has actually provisioned that people who practice self-gratification, every time they achieve greater goals, they have sustainable inner drive.
That's true.
To achieve greater goals because they know there is a reward at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You just take it like when you have KPIs for staff, attached to it is bonus and rewards. Performance and productivity will go higher.
That's true.
Same as you and me. Yes.
Yeah. So you have to create a reward system around your budgeting.
Yes.
I love that. Now, we can't talk about making our money grow for us without addressing debt.
Yes.
And again, in my line of work, I talk to a lot of people, and especially Kenyans right now. Debt is an epidemic, right? Bad debt.
Yeah.
Right? So we do have good debt and we do have bad debt. Could you kindly help us to differentiate between the two? What is good debt? What is bad debt?
So in summary, good debt is where you acquire money, probably to enjoy at the expense of your future. And when you look at the return, there isn't commensurate return. Okay?
That's bad debt.
That's bad debt.
Okay.
Thank you for correction. That's bad debt. But good debt is where you take, say, a credit facility, you are investing in an asset that is going to generate a return in the long run.
Okay.
But even in that intention, you've got to check. Often, most people have sunk in debts and in depression because they don't evaluate fairly well the risks of those investments. So you've got to check what is the actual return compared to the cost of debt. So when pain is higher than gain, don't take that debt.
Yes.
When pain, the cost of interest rate is higher, the actual return on investment on that investment, then you are actually losing value. Sustainably.
In fact, that's where I was headed, because we want to make our money work for us, right?
Yes.
And sometimes, yes, of course, savings help us do that.
Yes.
Investing helps us do that.
Yes.
But debt can also help us do that,
Correct.
make our money work for us.
Yes.
But I guess especially with the Kenyan demographic, majority of people are interacting with bad debt, what I call consumer debt.
Yes.
So a lot of mobile loan situations, a lot of credit card that, has nothing to, you can't justify what you did with the money. And it's very, definitely that creates fear around borrowing. It creates fear around loans, and rightfully so, because debt, again, as you've said, drives so many families down. Most families are literally one emergency away from a financial crisis, yet they're very deep in debt. Could you walk us through? You've already mentioned the first thing. If the pain is greater than the gain, do not take it out. What are some of the considerations that I should take, or anyone listening to us should take, who wants to make good debt work for them with regards to wealth building and wealth creation? Because we know what bad debt can do to us. We are already been character developed in Nairobi. So how do I, if I wanted to understand, how can I make good debt work for me, especially in line with wealth creation, wealth building, and accumulation?
So one has to be intentional. I am borrowing for what? What is the return on investment? For how long? Are there options to credit access that are better? Okay? And what is the cost of this debt? Do I have sustainable capacity to service it?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay? And even just to pause there, as I was reflecting on what you're saying, debt is as addictive as cigarette smoking and alcoholism.
Wow.
And it's a pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if one is in that debt trap, they need to seek help. If you're in a hole and you want to come out, you don't come out by digging further. It only takes someone who is outside the hole, not your other fellow people.
Not your other people you're in the hole together with.
To be able to pull you out. It brings to my mind a story, a set book we read some years back, Things Fall Apart.
Oh, yes, Chinua Achebe.
There was a guy there called Unoka. Unoka, if he borrows 1,000 from you, he draws on the wall. If he borrows 5,000, a taller line. So he used to say, if you have 5,000, you want your money paid, he will tell you, naona hii line fupi, sijaguza yako, hii ni mrefu, sijaguza yako ni hii fupi. If you want me to pay you quickly, refushe. So add him more money. And then he used to say that, you know, even when the sun rises, first it shines on the taller people before it shines on the shorter people. So I think it helps to be clear why you are borrowing and staying loyal to that cause.
Yeah. Do you think in our economy, Kenyan economy right now, from your 20 years of experience working with Kenyans and working in fund management, that we are closer on this spectrum of making debt work for us in terms of wealth creation, or are we still on this end where we really, really need to address the attachment to bad debt?
I think we need to address, it's a balance. There's also genuinely a good level of good behavior by Kenyans, especially in the SME sector. They genuinely borrow to see their businesses grow, expand, and that's good debt. And they also check out the capacity to be able to take the debt. And they have the discipline. But also, there's a fair level of Kenyans that are just borrowing into consumption, especially you pass around Kilimani, those billboards for quick loans, 100,000 loan, logbook loans in 20 minutes. And some of them, sadly they borrow to go to those gambling places, betting places, or alcoholism. What I want to say is that any money lump sum that you receive that you do not have capacity for to manage, or any wealth you receive that you do not have capacity for, it will always go. And I can give you statistics. Statistics indicate that the wealth of the entire world is just in about 5 to 10% of the population. If you took that wealth and distributed in the 90% of the population, between 3 to 5 years, it will have migrated back.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So the equation of sustainable wealth creation is not in the how much you receive.
Come on.
It is ability to keep and grow what you keep.
Yeah.
That's where it is. George S. Carlson, in his book, The Richest Man in Babylon, he actually agrees with that. He says, you keep 10%, okay? And you ensure that what you are keeping, it's also bringing more money through investments. And that's important. Yes.
I love that. I love to tell people that for me, wealth building, it's quite simple. Maybe not easy, but the steps are quite simple. Make money, keep money, then multiply money.
Correct.
And you have to do those three because obviously... Mambo ni matatu. Make money, keep money, then multiply money. Because and I love that you've mentioned that in terms of wealth distribution, it's quite interesting that you say that even in 5 years' time, this money would still have migrated back to the people who know how to make their money work for them. Right?
Even at the family level, these conversations need to happen on the dinner tables with the children. Because I've seen the rich, affluent families having a struggle of intergenerational wealth transfer. And that's a whole other topic. We'll have a discussion on that. And my comment on that is that it's not so much what we leave for our children, it's what we leave in them.
Yeah, I love that. Someone mentioned pass down the wealth, but pass down values too.
Absolutely.
Because if you pass down wealth only without the values, then the money is not getting to the second or third generation, that's for sure.
It's in the value equation that you have preservation and sustainability.
I love that. I love that. Sustainability. Let's talk about our long-term goals. When we began, you told us that your compass or your guiding light for your journey has been that you were able to clarify your 5 pillars and you were able to clarify your why, and that has kept you grounded 20 plus years, right? Now, we all want financial freedom. It's not something that you can get overnight. I think the more I learn, there's a calculation I did the other day, and I've been doing that with my clients, calculating your financial independence number and like how much it would actually take for you to get to financial freedom. It was quite a humbling moment for me. Like I've had to go back to the drawing board now and kind of like, hey, kumbe, it is not a walk in the park, you know, to get to financial freedom. So number one, understanding that financial freedom is a state that I get to where even working for me can be optional because I can comfortably live off of my investment income or things that I did during my active working years. And now starting to understand that there are some calculations that you can do around that to see like what kind of a portfolio do I need, short-term, medium-term, long-term. And I think I'm very curious. How do you guide people around setting goals for financial freedom in the long term? Obviously, there are quite a number of things to consider, like, are we a family? Do we have children? How long are they going to be in school? When do we want to retire? What can you tell us that we can use to guide us in terms of kind of like just setting those long-term financial goals, and more to it now, investing in alignment with these goals that we have, especially the long-term goals?
So I think appreciating your life stage financial needs. They are different between age 20, 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, and 50 to 60, 60 upwards.
60 and above.
Okay?
Yeah.
And in there also lies your risk profile. I read this book many years ago by Donald Trump. The former president of the US, Think Like a Billionaire. And he used this analogy in terms of calculating your risk appetite. He says you take 100 minus A, where A is your age.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Okay.
So if your age is 70, so then your maximum risk portfolio is capped at
30%.
At that age, you don't want your blood pressure to oscillate with the stock market.
You don't want to wake up one day and they're rushing you to hospital because of investment decisions.
That Safaricom shares are now 16.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
That's not the time.
That's true.
But you see, if your age is 30, you can actually have all the way up to 70%
of my portfolio in risky.
Because you have the opportunity of time.
That's true.
When you are young, time is a big asset. Because you can work with what you have at hand over that time because of
compounding interest. Yes.
It's likely to amplify the future value of your investments. So age is a key thing. Aligned to your risk appetite, then you map that to the underlying assets that are going to support your wealth creation journey. Bear in mind that you have to adjust the portfolio with time.
That's true.
Because of the shifts in the economic microeconomic variables in the environment that you are in. Or your objectives may change. Your life stage may change. Your income levels may change.
True.
Your behavior may change. Your social capital may change. And all those variables periodically, I do recommend reviewing every 6 months is helpful.
Yeah.
And then you tweak while you are working towards that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think what I'm learning from you today on so many aspects is that rigidity in personal finance will make you fail.
Absolutely.
You have to be very adaptable. You have to be willing to adjust.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Now, we are talking about...
And there's something very interesting called the personal agility quotient. Yeah. Is your ability to respond in how best can you respond in a changing environment?
Yeah.
Remember, in the world we are in, speed is the new currency.
It is. How fast you can adapt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you have those people who analyze. It's called analysis by paralysis. By the time that opportunity you are making a decision is gone.
It's gone.
Like now there are guys who are asking, do I buy now this Safaricom or not?
Not.
They will make that decision after 2 years.
When the price has already gone back up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have missed the opportunity. And so checking it out also helps.
I love that. You've mentioned age, you've mentioned risk appetite, and you've mentioned taking into account where you are at in your life. Yeah. Now, I know at N-Wealth you have quite a number of investment products and services, but what I even know you most for is retirement planning and helping people, kind of like be able to plan a retirement. And of course, we are talking about making money work for us and most importantly, having a smarter tomorrow. Now, I was working on some content early this year, and I came across very scary statistics around retirement and retirees, the reality of retirees in Kenya. And I'll mention maybe two.
Yes.
The first statistic that I came across is that in the world, Kenyan retirees are among the poorest retirees. And the second statistic that I saw online was that obviously majority of Kenyans will most probably, according to that projection, retire poor, specifically because a majority of Kenyans are not formally employed. So I've come across some of these instances where you talk to someone who's not quite employed and you ask them, are you doing retirement planning? And they are like, retirement ni ya watu wameandikwa, right? So for some reason, I've gathered that quite a number of us think of retirement planning as an employment benefit, as opposed to just something that whether you're employed or self-employed, something that you should think about and prioritize, right? So talk to us about what are some of the realities that you've come across or you've seen, especially pertaining to retirees here in Kenya, and how can we plan better for a smarter tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's certain realities in life that whichever way we look at it, we have to face. And one of them is retirement. At whichever way, we will be aging. And when we age, there are certain things that happen with that.
Yeah.
We will not be as strong and economically viable. But it doesn't take away the reality that you still have to eat. You still need to have health care.
Yeah.
And you still need to move around and take care of your bills.
That's true.
Okay? And that's where then it comes in the necessity of saving for your future.
Yeah.
So in terms of retirement planning, we have two phases. We have accumulation phase and decumulation phase.
Okay.
In the accumulation phase is where you put money aside, and that money is being invested in a legislated framework to protect your savings within the confines of the legislative framework of the Retirement Benefits Authority in the context of Kenya. And when you get to retirement, then you use what you have accumulated, you convert it into a monthly pension. And that monthly pension is paid to you monthly for life. Okay? And so I normally say, if you eat your future now, your future will have nothing else to eat but yourself.
That's scary.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you can't afford to eat your breakfast, lunch, and you have no dinner. That would be a disastrous thing to do. So the way to estimate your savings at retirement at age 60 is you check if you have accumulated, say, about 10 million, just take 1% of your savings, and that becomes your monthly pension.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Just 1%?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you have 7 million, 1%, your monthly pension will be 70,000. If you have, say, 3 million, 1%, 30,000 becomes your monthly pension for life. Be it in an annuity or an income drawdown. There might be a small 10% differential, 5%, but not so much. That's just the easiest. So now, in terms of working out what you call income adequacy at retirement, there's a ratio we use. We call it income replacement ratio.
Yeah.
You take your last salary at retirement as a proportion of your monthly pension at retirement.
Yeah.
So if your salary was 100,000 at age 60 and your monthly pension out of your accumulated saving is, say, 40,000, then your income replacement ratio is 40%.
40%.
World Bank, globally, not necessarily quoting World Bank, but globally, it's recommended that the minimum for a developing country economy like Kenya or in Africa, the minimum should be 40%.
Yeah.
Okay, 40%. In the occupational pension sector, we generally in Kenya, we are less than 4% income replacement ratio.
Yeah.
And that's why many
retirees
keep showing up in TV saying, naomba serikali. But you see, serikali also has priorities.
Yeah.
Okay? And so it helps to take responsibility that out of the much that you earn today, at least put aside 10% into your retirement, personal pension with, say, NWealth or whichever provider. All I recommend that check that company that is providing pension, check that they have to be licensed by the Retirement Benefits Authority. And what can you do with your savings at retirement? You can actually buy a healthcare insurance cover at retirement. Yes. And then you can also have a monthly income at retirement.
Yeah.
And there are benefits when you have cash, especially for men. The level of confidence in the home goes up when you have cash.
When you have something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also your wife will not go to America to see for 6 months to kushika wajuku. For 6 months, daughter number 1.
And it ends up being like another 4 years.
But she might stay with you a little bit more. Because cash is there. And you are less stressed. Okay, and you live long. Of course, holding other variables constant.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that our income replacement ratio is that low. I mean, I knew it is bad, but 4%.
Let me give you the statistics so that you can just appreciate this. So the industry is about 1.6 trillion. But this is purely the occupational, the private sector pension, plus the NSSF, about 300 billion. So the private sector savings is about 1.3 trillion, okay? And the total number of people who have saved for that is about 900,000 Kenyans. Now, when you check Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics, those who have regular income or paying PAYE are about 18 million.
Only
18 million. So out of 18 million, only 900,000 or a million thereabout are the one who are saving. So you actually have then almost, of course, if you add to NSSF, which is 200, is insignificant, that number goes to about 3 million. So you have 15 million Kenyans who are not saving
at all towards
SME
retirement.
Sector. And when they get to retirement, they are looking forward to their kids as their pension.
That's true.
But that has changed. Completely changed. You can no longer rely on your child as your monthly pension.
That's true.
As a fallback in retirement. Yes.
Yeah. And I think for me that's something worth thinking about even as we wrap up, because you also realize that there's a loan for pretty much everything under the sun, other than pension. Like no one will loan you money and be like, okay, go retire comfortably. But then for some reason, we are still not quite taking that seriously. So I think for me, one of the things that I've been talking about even on my platforms is that you don't have to be employed, formally employed, to have a personal pension fund. And if your employer doesn't have one, you can set up, because like myself, I'm a freelancer. I'm self-employed. I don't have like an employer. I am the employer.
Correct.
So I have to take charge and to take matters into my own hand and not wait for an employer to come do it for me, right? And actually go and do that. I mean, I'm learning so much. Thank you so much, Simon, for being here with us and for sharing such wonderful insights with us. Would you mind giving us a parting shot with regards to, planning for a smarter tomorrow and making our money grow for us? What would you like to leave us with?
I think diversification is key. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's key. Number 2, anytime you are checking out on where to invest, check that the organization you are placing your money with, are they licensed? That's important. Check the credibility. Don't just chase return. The higher the risk, of course, the higher the return, the higher the risk. In terms of diversification, it helps while you are saving for pension, like Enwell will be happy to take care of you, but also you can put a bit of it in the capital markets. The stock market right now is well valued. And talk about it, even though the share prices have come down, the dividend yields are still very good. At around 8%. Okay, so that is also granting us good position in terms of timing, which is key in terms of also wealth creation. And then, of course, you have to protect. Mambo ni matatu. Risk mitigation. You have to take insurance appropriately to protect also your investments. It's been an honor and a great pleasure to be on the show this afternoon. I am very grateful, and I'm sure we'll give the contacts for any who would want to reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, as you have heard, we are making our money work for us. And mambo ni matatu. Make your money, keep your money by saving, but also multiply your money by investing. So I really hope that you learned something during this episode. And in case you have any questions, definitely you can reach out to us. You can reach out to Enworld. We will leave some of the comments down below. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Smarter Tomorrow podcast with SBM Bank. I will see you on the next one.